Should I try to break the record for Thor videos in 1 week? Yeah, I think so. Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Ladies and gentlemen, Thor Love and Thunder has become the gift that just keeps on giving. Not because it's a memorable piece of cinema that has stuck with me days after watching it, but because every single day a new piece of information comes out about it, and it just keeps making the final product look worse and worse and worse. Irrelevant and comical info such as the goats were inspired by Taylor Swift has been revealed, and now we can all sleep better at night knowing that. We even have a video of Taika Waititi himself along with Tessa Thompson clowning this movie based on its editing and CGI.
That's right, it stinks!
I say again, how can people defend something that they themselves are saying is a piece of shit? Like my buddy Rocco told me, he said, you don't even have to make videos about this anymore. They're quite literally doing it to themselves now, and you can bring me whatever excuse you want. I don't care if you think Taika is just being cheeky, or quirky, or he's just trolling people. The fact still remains that he made a garbage film, and that is the bottom line here. Now, given the mixed to negative response that Thor Love and Thunder has been receiving, I would think that more people would be willing to question whether or not Taika Waititi should be allowed to continue with this franchise.
That makes sense.
But no, apparently some people are dedicated to doubling down on the cringe. In an interview with Insider, it's reported that Taika stated he would definitely return for Thor 5, but only if Chris did. Yes, because Taika wouldn't want to make anyone other than Chris Hemsworth look like this much of a clown. He went on to say if he did return, it would need to be something surprising, something unexpected. Well, Love and Thunder wasn't really surprising given your track record, but it was kind of unexpected in the worst way possible. So I guess you have that going for you.
I knew it, I'm surrounded by assholes.
He said, quote, like making just a $5 million movie with no fighting at all, just Thor on a road trip. Now I know people are going to say this is just Taika goofing around again, but based on what we've seen from him already, and how he's already assassinated both the character and the story that surrounds Thor, do you really think that he wouldn't strongly consider making a Thor road trip movie with no fighting in it? That's the issue. This response is just stupid enough to actually happen under his watch. I can see it now. Valkyrie, Thor, and his new daughter traveling around the US in an RV, getting into all kinds of little zany adventures. And maybe going to fucking Wally World or some shit. Who knows?
Roll him up.
That's what we all want from our God of Thunder, right? This dude is completely clueless as it pertains to how the audience wants to see Thor adapted. Why? Because he simply does not give a shit about the source material in the way that we do. Now I could sit here and bitch, moan, and complain for 20 more videos, but I prefer to be constructive when possible. Even though this guy doesn't leave me much room to be constructive, but I got to thinking, if I had the opportunity to make the next Thor movie, how would I fix it? Now the real answer to that question is that Thor is broken beyond repair at this point.
Whatever it is that you're offering, we're not into it. Don't care, couldn't care less.
But I'm talking about in a perfect world, under perfect circumstances, how would I do it? How would I go about changing the perception of this character? Well, the first thing I would do would of course be to not allow Taika Waititi within a mile of another Thor movie. Seriously, put him on a list and make sure he never shows his face ever again. So that creates a situation where the cringe comedy, the cartoonish visuals, the bad characterizations, all that would be removed.
Jesus fucking Christ, it's about time!
And yes, that means my ideal Thor 5 would not include a road trip. Because again, no one with a brain actually wants to see that. What I would do tonally is return the Thor franchise to the more serious tone of the original. If that means ignoring a lot of what we got in Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, then so be it. The current regime ignores continuity all the time, so why shouldn't I? Especially if it means we're going to get a better movie out of it.
Because it's all part of the plan.
Be advised, this concept does contain minor spoilers as it pertains to the ending of Love and Thunder, if you actually give a shit.
You have the luxury of not knowing what I know.
But the one thing I wouldn't ignore in that movie is the end credit sequence, because I do believe there is an epic story to be told there using that moment as a jumping off point. I just don't have the confidence in Marvel Studios to actually follow through with that. So I would be running with the idea that Zeus and Hercules are waging war against Thor and what's left of Asgard. This would be a lot easier if Asgard wasn't completely destroyed.
Fuck me, right?
In fact, I think a great title for this movie would be Thor, War of the Gods. That means it would actually share a title with a comic arc from 1976. The gods of Olympus have taken issue with people forgetting about them thanks to superheroes. And I'm visualizing a situation where Thor would ultimately become the king or leader that he always should have been. Maybe leading an army of reincarnated Asgardian gods and a handful of superheroes against the Olympians. This movie, of course, would feature actual battles and fights on a grand scale. I'm thinking more along the lines of the movie Troy, but with superpowers. It should be epic.
That's why no one will remember your name.
Because that's how I personally view Thor. And he most certainly won't have time to be a buffoon like he's been in the past two movies. He would become the battle-hardened warrior god that he should be. How many people would be down to watch an MCU movie in the vein of a classic historical epic? I say shut up and take my money. And I can imagine some awesome knockdown drag-out fights between Thor and Hercules.
Kick his ass, Seabass!
I say strip the franchise of its bright color palette, get a little bit more gritty with Thor, raise the stakes a little bit, and get people invested in him as a badass character again. Above all else, just take him seriously. This movie writes itself. Will we actually get it? Probably not. Even with the tease, we will probably get something that ultimately ends up being goofy-ass Thor versus a goofier Zeus, and them basically seeing who can out-cringe the other. Talk about wasting good actors like Chris Hemsworth and Russell Crowe.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
This will always be my problem. The potential for great movies is there. They just choose to make movies that appeal to the least common denominator instead. If you take your characters and your story seriously, your audience will respond accordingly.
Y'all be cool. Shut up.